Have you ever looked in the mirror and asked yourself if the person staring back is really the one you want to become? Not the person your job demands, not the person everyone else expects, but the person deep down, the one who carries your potential, your dreams, your courage. Most of us avoid that question. We avoid it because it's uncomfortable, because it forces us to confront the truth that we are capable of more, that we are capable of better, but we have been choosing routines, habits, and distractions over growth. We spend countless hours building someone else's vision, climbing ladders that may not even matter to us while the person we see in the mirror remains underdeveloped, undernourished, and unexplored. And yet, right there, in that reflection lies the most powerful opportunity you will ever have. The opportunity to rewrite your life, to cultivate a strength that no job title or paycheck can ever give you. The question is not how much you can achieve at work, but how much you are willing to achieve in yourself. Imagine the impact of shifting your focus inward. Imagine the confidence that comes from knowing that no matter what life throws at you, you are prepared, capable, and resilient. Imagine waking up each day with the quiet certainty that your growth is unstoppable, that your potential is compounding, that every challenge becomes a stepping stone rather than a roadblock. That is the reward waiting for you. The kind of fulfillment that external validation cannot touch. It's a freedom that comes from mastery over your mind, your habits, and your choices. It's the liberation of realizing that the only limits that exist are the ones you accept, and that by choosing to work harder on yourself than on anything else, you can shatter those limits entirely. Every hour you spend learning, reflecting, and refining yourself is an investment that no one can take away. Every skill you develop, every fear you face, every piece of wisdom you gain compounds quietly, invisibly, but with unstoppable force. While others chase deadlines, applause, and temporary recognition, you are building a foundation that will carry you through every storm, every obstacle, and every moment of doubt. Growth inside multiplies outside. The harder you work on your character, your mindset, and your resilience, the more effortless life's challenges become. Your job might measure success in tasks completed or hours logged, but life measures success in the depth of your growth, the strength of your choices, and the courage to rise every time you fall. So today, before you check another email, attend another meeting, or chase another promotion, pause and ask yourself, am I investing enough in the person in this mirror? Am I building the skills, habits, and mindset that will serve me for a lifetime rather than just a season? The truth is, when you dedicate yourself to personal growth, the rewards are immediate and enduring. You gain clarity, resilience, confidence, and the power to transform not just your career, but your life. And the more you commit to this path, the more every other aspect of your life begins to align effortlessly. The mirror doesn't lie. If you want a life that is larger than your circumstances, a life where you feel unstoppable and fulfilled, it begins here with you and with the decision to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Every small step you take toward yourself today is a giant leap toward the life you are meant to live. Every choice you make about yourself is a seed. Every action, every moment of discipline, every decision to push beyond what is easy is planting a seed that will grow into strength, clarity, and unstoppable momentum. Most people spend their lives watering the wrong seeds: worries, distractions, temporary pleasures, external approval, while neglecting the seeds of their own growth. The truth is that the greatest return on any investment is not money, not status, not applause. It is the person you are becoming. When you dedicate time, energy, and focus to improving your mind, your habits, and your character, the world becomes a reflection of that investment. You become sharper, stronger, more capable, more magnetic. Your energy changes, your confidence grows, and doors that once seemed locked begin to open without struggle. This is the power of self-investment, the undeniable force that compounds in ways no external effort ever can. Think about it. Every skill you master, every piece of knowledge you absorb, every moment you dedicate to understanding yourself better, builds a foundation that no challenge can shake. Your mind becomes clearer, your decisions become sharper, and your resilience becomes unshakable. Psychology tells us that people who engage in deliberate personal growth feel more capable, more creative, and more in control of their lives. They are not merely reacting to circumstances, they are shaping them. When you invest in yourself, you are not just preparing for tomorrow, you are transforming today. Every small effort compounds. Every hour, Every choice, every intentional action becomes a building block of a life that exceeds your expectations. Consider the contrast. A person who works endlessly for external rewards but neglects their own development is trapped in a cycle of dependency, always chasing, never fulfilled. Their energy, their ambition, their talent is siphoned outward, with little left for the one person who will always matter, himself or herself. When you turn your focus inward, when you pour effort into your own growth, you are creating leverage that cannot be replicated. You become a force that attracts opportunities, connections, and experiences aligned with your potential. The world begins to respond not to your position, but to the power of your presence. And presence, confidence, and mastery all stem from one place: the commitment to grow relentlessly, even when no one is watching. Imagine waking up every morning knowing that the work you are doing on yourself is unstoppable. Every step you take, every choice you make builds not just skills, but unshakable self-belief. Your confidence becomes rooted not in luck, not in recognition, not in chance, but in preparation, resilience, and self-mastery. This is why working harder on yourself is not optional, it is essential. It is the only strategy that guarantees lasting results. While others are busy chasing fleeting rewards, you are creating a life that is deeply grounded in your own power, your own discipline, and your own vision. Every action compounds, every choice matters, and every moment spent in deliberate growth becomes a force multiplier for your future. The most successful, fulfilled, and influential people you admire are not those who worked hardest at their jobs. They are the ones who worked hardest on themselves. They studied, reflected, practiced, failed, adjusted, and repeated until they became unshakable. Their lives are proof that self-investment is the currency of achievement, resilience, and freedom. When you commit to yourself with that same intensity, nothing can stop you. No circumstance, no limitation, no obstacle can hold back the person who has decided to invest in themselves above all else. Your growth becomes unstoppable, your potential inevitable, and your life a reflection of the power you dared to cultivate from within. Every moment you choose yourself over ease, every hour you spend improving your mind, body, and spirit compounds into a force so strong that no external pressure can resist it. That is the life you are building. That is the reward waiting for you. Comfort is a trap disguised as safety. It whispers to you that what you have is enough, that staying within familiar boundaries is wise, and that pushing beyond is unnecessary. But comfort is the enemy of growth. It lulls the mind into complacency, the body into stagnation, and the spirit into resignation. Every breakthrough, every leap forward, every step toward a life of meaning and power lies just beyond the edge of what feels safe. Neuroscience shows that our brains grow when we face deliberate challenge, when we step into stress that stretches us just enough to demand adaptation. Growth does not occur in ease. It occurs in struggle, in effort, in the choice to embrace discomfort as a teacher rather than a threat. Every time you avoid what is hard, you are choosing temporary relief over permanent transformation. Every moment spent clinging to routine, avoiding risk, or waiting for certainty is a moment where your potential shrinks instead of expands. But when you choose to face difficulty, to step beyond what is comfortable, something remarkable happens. Your mind sharpens, your resilience strengthens, and your capacity to handle life's uncertainties grows exponentially. The fear that once seemed paralyzing transforms into fuel. The obstacles that once held you back become the instruments of your evolution. Every challenge you willingly meet becomes evidence that you are stronger than you imagine, capable of more than you believe, and prepared for everything life is yet to throw at you. Working harder on yourself means leaning into the hard moments when everyone else turns away. It means choosing to grow when it would be easier to coast. It means recognizing that comfort may feel safe, but it is a cage, and every choice you make to stretch, learn, and adapt is a key to freedom. The habits you form in these moments are permanent. They do not disappear when the struggle passes. They remain embedded in your character, your decision-making, and your ability to respond to life with courage and clarity. The more you choose growth over ease, the more powerful, confident, and unstoppable you become. Discomfort is not punishment. It is an invitation. Every time you confront it, you are telling yourself and the world that you refuse to settle for mediocrity. You are claiming a life that reflects your true potential. Psychology calls this deliberate practice, the consistent effort to improve in ways that are challenging, measurable, and progressive. It is the difference between those who drift through life, and those who shape it. Those who commit to working harder on themselves treat every uncomfortable moment as an opportunity to grow, to expand, and to transform into the person they were meant to be. The world will not wait for you to be ready. Opportunities will not pause while you gather courage. Life will continue, and those who cling to comfort will fall behind, unnoticed and unfulfilled. But when you embrace challenge, you gain momentum that is unstoppable. You develop an inner strength that allows you to navigate uncertainty with confidence, to rise after every failure, and to move steadily toward the life you envision. Every difficult choice, every moment of intentional discomfort compounds into a life of resilience, mastery, and freedom. Choosing growth over comfort is not easy, but it is the single most powerful decision you can make. It transforms struggle into advantage, fear into energy, and potential into reality. The more you lean into discomfort, the more you discover that every boundary you feared was only a starting line, and every limit you thought existed was merely an illusion waiting to be broken. Your only true competitor is the person you were yesterday, not the colleague who seems to get ahead effortlessly, not the boss who praises others more often, not the world that seems stacked against you. The race that matters is the one within. Every distraction, every complaint, every moment you waste feeding fear or doubt allows yesterday's version of you to stay in the lead. Progress is not about surpassing someone else. It is about surpassing yourself. Growth becomes inevitable when you focus relentlessly on being better than the person you were this morning, this week, this month. Psychology calls this the principle of self-efficacy, the belief in your own capacity to grow, adapt, and succeed. When you strengthen that belief, you transform your energy from reactive to proactive, from passive to unstoppable. Every morning presents a choice to repeat the patterns that have limited you, or to take one step further, even if small, toward a stronger, wiser, more capable version of yourself. Every decision to learn, to push, to reflect, to act intentionally compounds into a force that carries you beyond circumstance. The person who consistently works harder on themselves does not fear challenges because they know each challenge is a mirror showing them exactly where growth is required. Every discomfort becomes feedback, every setback a lesson, every failure a stepping stone. By focusing on personal improvement above external competition, you create a momentum that others cannot match because it comes from within, rooted in effort, clarity, and self-awareness. Compare this to the life most people settle for. They chase recognition, comparisons, and fleeting praise, believing external measures define value. Yet every promotion, every compliment, every fleeting success is temporary and often masks the internal stagnation they refuse to confront. Real power does not come from someone else's approval. It comes from the quiet, relentless pursuit of being stronger, smarter, and more resilient than you were yesterday. The person who masters this principle does not wait for opportunities. They create them. They are relentless because their inner drive is fueled by progress, not by validation. Their victories are inevitable because they are grounded in consistent growth, deliberate effort, and unwavering focus on surpassing themselves. Every small action compounds. Reading a page today may seem insignificant, but it expands your knowledge, shapes your thinking, and strengthens the neural pathways that create long-term capability. Facing a fear today may feel uncomfortable, but it builds courage that cannot be borrowed or faked. Exercising discipline over fleeting desires may feel restrictive, but it trains your mind and body to withstand challenges that would break someone else. Incremental growth is invisible in the moment, but relentless self-improvement creates a life that is extraordinary, unshakable, and inevitable. The world will continue to measure success superficially, rewarding appearances over substance. But those who commit to themselves consistently, who compete only with their own past, develop a type of strength and clarity that cannot be measured by external metrics. They wake up every day knowing that their energy, their focus, and their effort are invested where it matters most, in the growth of their own potential. That single mindset shift, choosing personal progress over external competition, transforms fear into action, uncertainty into strategy, and potential into results. When you focus on surpassing yesterday's version of yourself, you no longer fear obstacles. You no longer feel small. You no longer accept limitations. You become unstoppable because the only race that matters is the one you run within, and every step forward is proof that your best is yet to come. How often do you let the world define your worth? How often do you measure yourself by the approval of others, by the recognition you receive, or by the accolades that feel important in the moment? The truth is, external validation is fleeting. It is a temporary glow that can vanish in an instant. Relying on it leaves you vulnerable, unstable, and dependent on forces you cannot control. True power, true fulfillment, comes from the internal compass that guides your life regardless of praise or criticism. When you work harder on yourself than on your job, you cultivate that compass. You develop a certainty rooted in growth, discipline, and self-mastery. This certainty cannot be shaken by failure, ignored by others, or diminished by circumstance. It becomes the foundation on which everything else in your life is built. Every decision to improve yourself, every commitment to learn, every moment of courage and self-reflection strengthens your internal validation. You no longer seek permission to succeed because you already know your value. You no longer fear judgment because you are anchored in growth, not opinion. Research in psychology consistently shows that people who rely on self-validation are more resilient, more motivated, and more capable of navigating life's challenges. They experience greater clarity, make bolder decisions, and attract opportunities naturally because their energy is aligned with purpose rather than approval. When you invest in yourself, you create a momentum that is self-sustaining. External circumstances may fluctuate, but the power cultivated within never diminishes. Think about the freedom that comes from valuing your growth above all else. No longer are you at the mercy of someone else's standards. No longer do you tie your confidence to a promotion, a title, or a compliment. Instead, you wake up with the quiet, unshakable certainty that every effort you make is building the person you are meant to become. This is why working harder on yourself transforms not just your career, but your life. Your focus shifts from chasing recognition to creating capability. Your energy shifts from pleasing others to mastering yourself. Your mind shifts from fear of failure to anticipation of growth. And when that happens, life responds. Doors open naturally. Challenges become opportunities. People are drawn to your presence. Success is no longer something you chase. It is something you command through your own preparation and effort. Every skill you learn, every habit you strengthen, every fear you confront compounds into a confidence that cannot be borrowed or stolen. Unlike external validation, which can disappear overnight, internal validation is permanent. It is built in quiet moments of discipline, in the courage to face discomfort, and in the relentless pursuit of growth. This is the real reward of investing in yourself. It is the kind of fulfillment that survives failure, thrives under pressure, and radiates into every area of your life. While others remain dependent on recognition, you stand independently strong. You no longer hope for opportunities. You create them. You no longer fear obstacles. You overcome them. You no longer question your value. You know it. The person who works harder on themselves is unstoppable because their power is self-generated. It does not fade with circumstances. It does not weaken under scrutiny, and it cannot be taken away. This is the life-changing truth. The moment you prioritize your own growth over external approval, you unlock a force within you that will carry you farther than any paycheck, title, or accolade ever could. Every hour invested in yourself multiplies endlessly. Every choice to focus inward rather than outward compounds. Every step toward self-mastery is a step toward freedom, fulfillment, and unshakable confidence. When you anchor your worth within, the world no longer controls your trajectory. You do. Everything you do repeatedly shapes the life you live. Habits are not small. They are the hidden architects of your destiny. Every thought you entertain, every action you take, every choice to rise above distraction or succumb to ease builds the framework of who you are becoming. Most people focus on outcomes, paychecks, promotions, applause, while neglecting the invisible processes that create them. The truth is, success is not a single event. It is a pattern. It is the culmination of consistent, intentional actions performed day after day. When you commit to working harder on yourself than on your job, you are deliberately designing a system of growth that produces results in every area of your life. Every habit you cultivate compounds. Reading, reflection, learning, exercise, emotional awareness, these may seem small in isolation, but they accumulate silently and powerfully. Neuroscience confirms that repetition strengthens neural pathways, creating capability that is automatic, effortless, and permanent. The person who masters this principle moves through challenges with calm and clarity. They do not panic under pressure because their preparation, their discipline, and their habits have built a foundation stronger than circumstance. Every action taken on yourself is a deposit into an account that compounds faster than anything external could ever yield. Every small improvement you make today ensures that tomorrow you are stronger, faster, wiser, and more capable. The danger of neglecting personal habits is subtle but deadly. It allows external pressures, fleeting emotions, and distractions to dictate the trajectory of your life. Without intentional focus on yourself, your energy is scattered, your mind grows restless, and your potential remains dormant. But when you choose to structure your life around deliberate, high-value habits, you reclaim control. You begin to move not as a reaction to circumstance, but as a creator of outcomes. Your life is no longer a series of accidents. It is the direct result of deliberate choices, repeated with consistency until mastery becomes inevitable. Consistency is courage. It is the act of showing up for yourself every day, regardless of mood, fear, or convenience. Every morning you commit to improvement, every decision to learn or grow despite discomfort, every habit you reinforce builds momentum that is unstoppable. Psychologists call this the compound effect. Small, consistent actions create results far greater than sporadic bursts of effort ever could. Your mind, your body, and your spirit all thrive under this pressure, growing stronger, sharper, and more resilient. The power of habits is not in the moment. They are invisible, but over time they shape your identity, your performance, and your destiny. When you dedicate yourself to developing the right habits, you create leverage that cannot be borrowed, stolen, or copied. No boss, no circumstance, no fleeting opportunity can replicate the momentum that comes from a disciplined mind and a focused life. The more you invest in yourself through deliberate, repeated action, the more effortlessly success flows into every area of your life. Your habits are the scaffolding upon which confidence, resilience, mastery, and influence are built. Every choice to prioritize growth over convenience compounds into a life that is unstoppable. When your habits align with your purpose, when they serve the person you are becoming, nothing can hold you back. You move with inevitability, not luck, not chance, but the quiet power of relentless self-investment. Life will test you. Challenges will arrive without warning, failures will strike without mercy, and setbacks will appear just when you feel steady. But the person who works hard on themselves is not broken by adversity. They are strengthened by it. Resilience is not a trait you are born with. It is a skill you develop through deliberate effort, through facing difficulty, through choosing growth over comfort, even when fear whispers that surrender is easier. Every time you rise after a setback, every time you confront pain rather than avoid it, you are forging an inner armor that cannot be taken away, an unshakable foundation for every future victory. Resilience is more than enduring. It is transforming every obstacle into a teacher. Science confirms that people who cultivate resilience are better at problem solving, more adaptable under stress, and more likely to achieve their goals. When you work harder on yourself than on your job, you are not just surviving adversity, you are training your mind and spirit to thrive in it. Every challenge becomes a mirror, reflecting where growth is needed, highlighting areas for refinement, and revealing the depths of your strength. Each struggle you face is not a punishment. It is a deliberate opportunity to evolve, to stretch beyond what you thought possible, and to cultivate a courage that others lack. The world will not slow down, and circumstances will not bend to your comfort. Life tests everyone, but only those prepared from within transform tests into triumphs. Every person who achieves extraordinary results knows this. It is not talent, luck, or circumstance that carries them forward. It is resilience built through relentless self-work. It is the choice to focus on developing their mind, character, and emotional strength, knowing that the challenges outside will always be inevitable. When you prioritize your inner growth, adversity becomes a catalyst rather than a barrier, a proving ground rather than a prison. Strength of character, emotional mastery, and mental toughness are cultivated through consistent effort in the unseen hours, when no one is watching, when there is no applause, when there is only you facing yourself. That is where true power resides. Every moment of discomfort you endure, every fear you confront, every failure you rise from becomes a brick in the foundation of resilience. It compounds silently, invisibly, but with unstoppable force. Over time, it allows you to respond to life with clarity, courage, and calm determination. You are no longer a passenger in your own life. You are the driver, steering with precision, no matter how rough the road becomes. Resilience also multiplies confidence. When you know you can face adversity and rise again, hesitation disappears. Fear loses its grip. Decisions become clearer. Action becomes decisive, and opportunities that once felt impossible suddenly appear within reach. Every setback is no longer a threat. It is a stepping stone. Every failure is no longer evidence of limitation. It is proof of potential. Working harder on yourself ensures that resilience is not situational. It becomes a permanent feature of your character, a force that no challenge can diminish, a power that transforms obstacles into momentum. The stronger you become within, the less the outside world can shake you. You do not wait for circumstances to be perfect because your strength does not come from them. It comes from the relentless cultivation of your mind, your habits, and your spirit. Every challenge becomes a chance to grow, every hardship an opportunity to prove your dedication to yourself. The more you commit to inner growth, the more unstoppable you become, the more inevitable your success. Resilience is the ultimate advantage, and it is earned only by those willing to work harder on themselves than anyone could ever demand of their job. The strength you build within does more than carry you through adversity. It fuels you with energy that ignites everything you do. Energy is not just physical. It is mental, emotional, and spiritual. It is the driving force behind your decisions, your focus, and your persistence. Most people drain their energy by reacting to life rather than creating it. They exhaust themselves on tasks that do not matter, people who do not inspire them, and habits that deplete rather than renew them. Working harder on yourself means learning to generate, protect, and direct your energy with precision. When you master this, you stop running on fumes and start living with power. Energy management begins with your body because your body is the vehicle through which everything else flows. What you feed it, how you move it, how you rest it directly affects the quality of your thoughts and emotions. Neglect your body and your mind pays the price. Clarity fades, focus weakens, discipline slips. But when you invest in your health, when you treat exercise, sleep, and nutrition as non-negotiable, you unlock reserves of strength and vitality that change how you show up to every moment. Research proves that even small improvements in physical well-being lead to dramatic boosts in productivity, creativity, and mental resilience. When your body is strong, your mind follows. When your mind is clear, your spirit rises. But energy is more than biology. It is also the way you think. Every thought you entertain is either charging your battery or draining it. Dwelling on fear, anger, or regret bleeds away your power. Choosing gratitude, possibility, and solutions strengthens it. This is not just optimism, it is psychology. Studies show that people who train their minds to focus on opportunity rather than obstacle have higher levels of motivation, persistence, and achievement. When you work harder on yourself, you learn to take control of your focus. You stop feeding thoughts that sabotage you and start fueling thoughts that move you forward. Emotional energy is equally powerful. It is the difference between showing up distracted and showing up fully present. It is what allows you to connect deeply with others, to lead with influence, and to approach challenges with calm determination instead of panic. You build emotional energy by aligning your actions with your values, by living with integrity, by speaking and acting in ways that are true to who you are becoming. Every time you honor your own growth, your emotional energy rises. Every time you betray it, it falls. When you master your energy, you gain the ability to create momentum at will. You become intentional about where your time goes, who you spend it with, and what you allow to shape your thoughts. Your days stop feeling like survival. They become creation. You no longer wait for motivation because you have built systems and habits that keep your energy high, even when the world tries to pull you down. This is what separates those who live with passion from those who simply exist. The person who works harder on themselves than on their job radiates an energy that is impossible to ignore. They are magnetic, focused, unstoppable. They do not merely react to life, they lead it, powered by a force that comes from within and never runs dry. Your job is a role, your life is a vision. Most people confuse the two, pouring every ounce of energy into tasks that are temporary, hoping that external success will bring fulfillment. But no promotion, no title, no paycheck can substitute for a life aligned with your purpose. True power and lasting satisfaction come from pursuing a vision that is bigger than your current circumstances. When you work harder on yourself than on your job, you begin to see clearly what you are capable of, what you value, and what kind of impact you want to create. Your focus shifts from short-term gain to long-term transformation, and everything in your life starts to align with that higher standard. Vision gives you direction when circumstances are uncertain. It provides clarity when distractions pull at you, and it fuels persistence when obstacles appear insurmountable. People with a clear vision are not easily discouraged because they measure progress against their potential, not the fluctuating opinions or events around them. Psychology shows that individuals with defined goals and purpose are more motivated, more resilient, and more fulfilled than those who chase immediate rewards. Your vision is your anchor. It is what turns effort into momentum, struggle into learning, and setbacks into redirection rather than defeat. When you cultivate yourself, you are laying the foundation to pursue that vision relentlessly with focus, discipline, and courage. Every skill you develop, every habit you build, every fear you confront is a tool for your vision. Knowledge, discipline, emotional intelligence, resilience, these are not abstract qualities. They are practical, tangible assets that move you closer to what you are meant to create. Working harder on yourself equips you to tackle challenges that would break others, to seize opportunities that others overlook, and to act decisively when moments of significance arrive. Your growth becomes leverage, enabling you to achieve outcomes that a job alone could never deliver. External success will follow, but it is no longer the goal. It is the byproduct of the person you are becoming. When your life is guided by vision rather than circumstance, fear loses its grip. You are no longer paralyzed by what could go wrong because your focus is on what is possible. You do not wait for permission or for the right conditions because your preparation and your capabilities allow you to create opportunity from challenge. Every day becomes a deliberate act of building yourself toward the life you imagine. You measure progress not by recognition or comparison, but by the alignment between who you are becoming and the life you want to live. This internal compass gives clarity, motivation, and resilience that no external factor can disrupt. Working harder on yourself transforms vision into reality. It is the invisible force that turns ambition into achievement, potential into mastery, and dreams into measurable outcomes. Your job may give structure, but your vision gives purpose. Your habits and growth give the ability to navigate complexity with skill and confidence. Every step you take on yourself compounds into a life where success is inevitable because it is grounded in preparation, strength, and clarity. The more you invest in yourself, the more your vision becomes tangible, unstoppable, and undeniably yours. When you prioritize your own growth over external validation or fleeting tasks, you become the architect of a life that no circumstance can limit, no opinion can shake, and no obstacle can halt. Your vision, powered by relentless self-investment, becomes reality. Consistency is courage. It is the quiet, unseen force that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Most people wait for motivation to appear before taking action, believing that inspiration will carry them forward. But motivation is fleeting. It rises and falls like the tide, unreliable and unpredictable. True transformation comes from showing up day after day, even when you feel tired, distracted, or doubtful. It comes from committing to growth as a habit, not a reaction. Every act of discipline, every moment you choose effort over ease, every decision to push beyond comfort compounds into momentum that cannot be stopped. The science is clear. People who practice consistent action toward meaningful goals experience higher levels of achievement, confidence, and fulfillment. This is not about occasional bursts of effort. It is about persistent, deliberate commitment. Every morning you choose to read, to learn, to reflect, to challenge yourself. You are investing in a version of yourself that will surpass the person you were yesterday. Your habits, repeated with intention, become the engine that powers your life forward. Consistency builds identity. It tells your mind, your body, and your spirit who you are becoming. And once that identity is solid, your actions flow naturally, effortlessly, and with unstoppable power. Courage is not always dramatic. It is not always visible. Most often, it is the small, silent acts of showing up when no one is watching, of resisting distractions, of choosing growth over comfort. This courage compounds, building resilience, confidence, and mastery over time. Every time you persist, you prove to yourself that you can handle more than you thought. Every time you take deliberate action despite fear or fatigue, you are reinforcing a pattern of success that becomes nearly impossible to break. Psychology shows that this consistency and effort strengthens self-efficacy, the belief in your own ability to influence outcomes. The stronger your self-efficacy, the more decisive your actions, the bolder your decisions, and the higher your results. Consistency also fuels momentum. When you act persistently, challenges no longer halt you, they guide you. Obstacles become signals, feedback becomes fuel, and setbacks become redirections. Each repeated action builds confidence and competence, creating a cycle where effort produces results, results inspire action, and action produces growth. This is how ordinary effort transforms into extraordinary outcomes. The person who works harder on themselves and on their job understands that progress is not linear, but cumulative. Every small act of discipline, every deliberate choice to invest in yourself compounds into a force that carries you farther than luck, talent, or circumstance ever could. Your courage, anchored in consistency, becomes the invisible engine of your transformation. It is what allows you to face discomfort without hesitation, to act decisively when opportunities arise, and to maintain direction when distractions and doubts try to pull you off course. This is the ultimate leverage, the kind that cannot be borrowed, stolen, or replicated. It is yours earned through relentless self-investment and unyielding commitment. When you cultivate consistency as courage, you create unstoppable momentum. You become someone who does not wait for conditions to be perfect, who does not depend on fleeting motivation, and who cannot be derailed by fear, failure, or uncertainty. Every deliberate act, repeated over time, becomes proof that the life you desire is not a matter of chance. It is a matter of deliberate, courageous, and consistent action. The people you surround yourself with are mirrors of who you are becoming. Every conversation, every interaction, every relationship reflects back the energy, mindset, and habits you carry within. Most people underestimate the influence of their environment, allowing negativity, mediocrity, and distraction to seep into their lives. But growth-minded individuals understand that relationships are not just connections. They are accelerators or barriers to your evolution. When you commit to working harder on yourself, you naturally attract those who challenge, inspire, and elevate you. They mirror your standards, amplify your energy, and push you to expand beyond your perceived limits. Your inner circle shapes your thinking, your behavior, and ultimately, your results. Social psychology demonstrates that people who consistently interact with high-achieving, growth-oriented individuals are more likely to adopt similar habits, mindsets, and levels of success. The energy you allow into your life either fuels your ambition or drains it. When you cultivate yourself first, you become magnetic to people who align with your vision and purpose. Toxic influence fades, passive energy is filtered out, and every relationship becomes a tool for refinement, reflection, and growth. The more deliberate you are about who you let into your inner world, the more your personal evolution accelerates. But this is not just about external connections. It is also about the way you interact with every person. Every exchange is an opportunity to practice patience, empathy, and clarity. Emotional intelligence, the ability to understand and influence others, grows only through intentional effort. When you focus on self-improvement, you learn to regulate your responses, elevate your interactions, and foster relationships that build momentum rather than drain it. Every conversation becomes a reflection of your growth, every action a reinforcement of your standards. People sense energy, authenticity, and commitment, and they respond accordingly. The ripple effect of self-investment in relationships is profound. When you grow internally, your growth naturally spreads outward. Your confidence strengthens your influence. Your discipline inspires respect. Your vision sparks curiosity and alignment in others. The people around you begin to mirror the strength, clarity, and resilience you have cultivated within. Every interaction becomes a chance to elevate your environment, creating a feedback loop where your growth attracts growth and your energy generates opportunity. The more you invest in yourself, the more your presence reshapes your surroundings, creating a life where alignment, influence, and momentum are inevitable. Ultimately, Working harder on yourself transforms every relationship into a reflection of your highest potential. You stop tolerating mediocrity and start demanding excellence from yourself and those around you. You recognize that your inner world dictates the quality of your outer world, and you take responsibility for cultivating both with intentionality and precision. Every moment spent refining your mind, habits, and character strengthens the impact you have on others and the opportunities that naturally follow. Your growth becomes contagious, your influence undeniable, and your environment a catalyst for continued transformation. By prioritizing yourself above temporary convenience or comfort, you create a life in which relationships, energy, and momentum all align with the person you are becoming, amplifying your potential in ways that no external circumstance could ever achieve. Your mindset is your most powerful asset. Every belief you hold, every thought you repeat, every assumption you accept shapes not only how you perceive the world, but how the world responds to you. Most people allow limiting beliefs to dictate their actions, accepting fear, doubt, and uncertainty as unchangeable truths. But the mind is not a prison, it is a tool. When you work harder on yourself than on your job, you begin to master your mind. You challenge the stories that hold you back. You replace fear with curiosity, doubt with confidence, and limitation with possibility. The moment you control your mindset, you gain control over your results. Every breakthrough begins in thought. Neuroscience shows that the brain constantly rewires itself based on what you focus on and practice. Negative, self-limiting thoughts create neural pathways that reinforce stagnation. Positive, growth-oriented thoughts create pathways that reinforce confidence, creativity, and resilience. By consciously choosing the thoughts that serve your growth, you are literally sculpting your brain to support your potential. Every minute spent reinforcing a mindset of abundance, capability, and possibility compounds into behavior, habits, and outcomes that feel effortless. Your mind becomes the architect of your reality rather than a reaction to it. A growth mindset transforms obstacles into opportunities. People who embrace this way of thinking see failure not as defeat, but as feedback. Every challenge becomes a lesson, every setback a guide, and every discomfort a signal to expand. When you commit to self-investment, your ability to adapt, learn, and evolve becomes your superpower. You no longer fear the unknown because you know that your mind, trained for growth, can navigate uncertainty with skill and resilience. You begin to see potential where others see impossibility. You begin to act decisively while others hesitate. Every decision is empowered by clarity, confidence, and the relentless belief in your capacity to improve. The quality of your life is directly proportional to the quality of your thinking. A powerful, disciplined mind attracts opportunities, relationships, and experiences aligned with your highest potential. When you sharpen your mental focus, challenge limiting beliefs, and adopt a mindset of growth, the world responds. Challenges that once seemed insurmountable become manageable. Goals that once seemed distant become achievable. Your energy aligns with purpose, and your actions compound with impact. Your mind becomes a force multiplier, amplifying every skill, habit, and effort you have invested in yourself. Mastering your mindset also strengthens your emotional intelligence. You gain control over reactions, reduce stress, and increase resilience. You learn to see situations clearly, respond with wisdom, and influence outcomes without struggle. When the mind is trained for growth, fear loses its power, doubt becomes fuel, and hesitation fades. Every thought becomes intentional, every choice deliberate, and every action aligned with the life you are building. The person who works harder on themselves does not leave success to chance. They engineer it through thought, focus, and mental mastery. Your mindset is the foundation of your transformation. It governs how you approach every challenge, every opportunity, and every relationship. When you commit to its mastery, everything else, habits, energy, resilience, relationships, vision, falls into alignment. You no longer react to life, you create it. You no longer wait for circumstances to dictate your path, you shape it. Every moment spent investing in your mind compounds into clarity, confidence, and unstoppable momentum. The stronger your mindset, the stronger your life, and the more inevitable your success becomes. Master your mind, and you master everything. Discipline is the bridge between intention and achievement. Most people underestimate its power, believing that talent, luck, or external circumstance will carry them forward. But without discipline, potential remains dormant and dreams stay unfulfilled. Discipline is not about punishment or restriction. It is the daily commitment to do what must be done, even when you do not feel like it. It is the choice to show up for yourself consistently, to honor your growth, and to take action regardless of fear, fatigue, or distraction. Every act of self-discipline compounds over time, building momentum, confidence, and capability that no external reward can match. When you work harder on yourself than on your job, discipline becomes your foundation. It trains your mind to resist short-term gratification in favor of long-term growth. It builds habits that reinforce your vision and align your actions with your highest potential. Neuroscience confirms that repeated, deliberate practice strengthens the neural pathways associated with self-control, focus, and willpower. The more you exercise discipline, the easier it becomes to choose what serves your growth over what serves convenience. You stop relying on fleeting motivation because your habits, reinforced by discipline, carry you forward regardless of mood, circumstance, or obstacle. Discipline also strengthens resilience. Every time you push past discomfort, delay immediate pleasure, or persevere through challenge, you expand your capacity to endure and thrive. Life will always test your limits, but discipline allows you to respond with calm, focus, and strategic action rather than reaction and panic. It transforms setbacks into learning, obstacles into opportunities, and fear into fuel. The person who masters self-discipline becomes unstoppable, not because they never struggle, but because they never quit. Every act of consistency, no matter how small, compounds into a life of mastery, clarity, and momentum. Energy, mindset, vision, and relationships all gain leverage when anchored by discipline. Without it, even the strongest vision can falter, even the clearest mind can drift, and even the most supportive network can be wasted. Discipline is the engine that turns potential into results, intention into action, and growth into achievement. It is the invisible force that transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary outcomes. Every hour, every decision, every commitment to discipline strengthens your trajectory, aligning your life with the person you are becoming rather than the circumstances around you. Discipline is also the antidote to procrastination and doubt. Every time you act despite hesitation, every time you honor your commitments to yourself, you reinforce your belief in your own capabilities. Self-confidence grows not from comfort or success alone, but from the repeated evidence that you can endure, persist, and achieve what others deem difficult. The person who works harder on themselves than on their job internalizes this principle. Action creates momentum, momentum builds belief, and belief generates results. Each step, however small, compounds into a force so powerful that it carries you past obstacles that would stop someone less committed. Ultimately, discipline is the measure of your dedication to your own growth. It is the silent, invisible factor that separates those who dream from those who achieve, those who drift from those who lead, and those who settle from those who transform. Every moment spent exercising self-control, perseverance, and deliberate effort strengthens your life, aligns your actions with your vision, and multiplies your potential. Discipline turns investment in yourself into results that no job, opportunity, or circumstance could ever replicate. It is the heartbeat of transformation, the engine of mastery, and the force that ensures your growth is inevitable. Your time is your most valuable resource. Every hour you spend, every minute you invest shapes the life you are building. Most people squander it, distracted by endless tasks, obligations, or passive consumption. They trade hours for temporary satisfaction, believing that life's value is measured in busyness or external recognition. But time invested in yourself, the hours dedicated to growth, learning, reflection, and mastery, is the only investment that compounds without limit. Every minute you spend improving your mind, body, and character builds a return that no paycheck, title, or accolade could ever match. When you work harder on yourself than on your job, you reclaim control over your time. You stop letting urgency dictate importance. You stop prioritizing distractions over progress. Every choice becomes deliberate. How you spend your mornings, how you structure your days, and how you commit to the actions that serve your growth. Studies in productivity and psychology show that people who are intentional with their time experience greater achievement, focus, and fulfillment than those who drift from task to task. Time, once wasted, cannot be reclaimed, but time invested in yourself compounds into momentum, capability, and freedom that shapes your entire life trajectory. Prioritizing yourself requires courage and clarity. It demands that you say no to what does not serve you, that you eliminate distractions, and that you guard your hours as fiercely as your ambition. Every choice to protect your time is a declaration that your growth matters more than comfort, convenience, or the expectations of others. When you invest time in yourself, you are not only creating skills, knowledge, and resilience, you are sending a signal to your subconscious mind that your future is worth the sacrifice today. Each hour of disciplined focus strengthens neural pathways, reinforces self-efficacy, and builds the momentum that carries you past procrastination, fear, and doubt. Time invested in personal growth is also time spent multiplying your capacity. Every hour spent learning, reflecting, and practicing produces exponential returns in capability, clarity, and confidence. You become faster at problem solving, stronger in decision making, and more resilient under pressure. Your mind and body adapt, evolve, and compound in ways that no external effort could replicate. Whereas others expend energy reacting to circumstances, you spend time deliberately shaping yourself to handle any situation. Every hour is leverage, every minute compounds, every second invested in mastery produces results that ripple outward into every area of your life. The urgency of time is a constant truth. It waits for no one. It does not pause, and it cannot be regained once lost. The person who works harder on themselves understands this. They structure their days, prioritize their growth, and focus relentlessly on what matters most. They recognize that fleeting tasks and temporary rewards pale in comparison to the permanent power created through disciplined self-investment. By dedicating time to yourself, you are not only building skill, strength, and resilience, you are creating a life that moves forward regardless of circumstance, a life that grows naturally, and a life that reflects the full potential of who you are becoming. Every hour, every deliberate act, every focused moment compounds into a force so powerful that it transforms your trajectory. Time invested in yourself becomes momentum, momentum becomes mastery, and mastery becomes the foundation for every opportunity, relationship, and achievement in your life. The person who treats their growth as the highest priority does not simply survive. They thrive. They do not drift. They create. They do not wait. They act. Every second dedicated to self-improvement is a seed that multiplies endlessly, shaping a life that is unstoppable, unshakable, and undeniably yours. Your purpose is the engine that drives everything else. Without it, energy, discipline, and effort scatter like wind-blown leaves, leaving no lasting impact. Most people wander through life chasing external rewards, believing that money, status, or recognition will give them fulfillment. They achieve milestones but remain empty because they never align their actions with something larger than themselves. When you work harder on yourself than on your job, you discover what truly matters to you. You uncover the mission that makes every effort meaningful, the vision that makes every challenge worth facing, and the reason that fuels relentless growth. Purpose is not optional. It is the compass that transforms work into progress, effort into momentum, and life into legacy. Purpose gives clarity to your choices,